All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Plainville Town Council, December 1st, 2025, to order. If everyone could please stand, I'm going to ask Councilman Gettleman to lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, especially you guys over here on my right. Good job. So tonight, we do have a presentation tonight. Jennifer Smith, who's our library director, is here this evening. Online, I know there was some discussion about some policy decisions. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you're here to just give us some updates on some policies that have been called into question. So please, if you want to take the podium, make sure you turn the mic on. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll start by sharing some background information about library policies. In June of 2025, the Connecticut State Legislature approved Public Act 25-168, Section 322, which implements new statutory requirements for Connecticut public libraries. This bill builds on SB 2 bill that passed in 2023. These new requirements apply to all principal public libraries, are law, and are essential for continued eligibility for the Section 11-24B state grants to principal public libraries incentive grants. The Connecticut State Library worked with all public libraries to update the required policies to meet the new state law. The following were reviewed and approved by the Library Board on October 14th, 2025. The Collection Development and Maintenance Policy, the Material Review and Reconsideration Policy and Form, the Program Policy, and the Display Policy. I received communication back from the State Library confirming that Plainville is fully compliant as of November 19th, 2025. The display policy has been a topic of conversation recently as it addresses the kinds of decorations that will be displayed in the library throughout the year. The Library Board discussed the decorations, including the Christmas tree. A community craft night was planned in November, and attendees created handmade decorations that are now on display in the library. In addition, the library will be participating in the Town Holiday Decorating Contest. The board will be continuing the conversation about decorations at the next Library Board meeting, including a vote pertaining to a Christmas tree. The next Library Board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Chase Auditorium at the library. I want to make mention that decorations are different from the library collection items and the programs that are presented at the library. Earlier today, when I was working in our Youth Services Department, I noticed several books face out on display. A Christmas picture book, a Jewish holiday book, and a Kwanzaa picture book, to name a few. Library programs are also very consistent with what has been offered at the library in prior years, and this December we welcome back the Plainville Flute Choir to perform their holiday concert. We also have a greeting card workshop and cookie decorating events planned for families later in the month, to name a few. In the meantime, the library has been decorated. All of the decorations on display have been approved by the Library Board, and many of the decorations are handmade by members of our community. We are thankful for the Friends of the Library who volunteered their time again this year to decorate the library. The Friends are a dedicated group of volunteers who fundraise on behalf of the library.
All right, any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I heard about this, and I first saw it on Plainville Talks and heard about it from other people and maybe a few members of the library board. I think that the library board, them making the decision was actually a secondary act, correct? Like there wasn't a decision made to do that, and then you kind of told them about it and asked them if it was okay?
We reviewed all the policies. They asked questions. We went over things. We voted, they voted on those. There was some discussion about displays,
Secular displays.
and I feel I answered the questions that the board had.
All right, the way I feel about it is when you don't decorate for Christmas and Hanukkah, it's being exclusive of those religions. And I'm not in favor of that at all. I think that the decoration should come back.
Okay, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
You know, I think it's important to recognize that our Library Board of Trustees is a governing library board, and they're the ones that are responsible for the governance of a library and for conducting its operations. You can see that very clearly stated on our town website. I think this is a decision that belongs with the Library Board of Trustees because they are the third elected body in our town government, very similar to the Board of Education. We don't tell, as a town council, we don't tell the Board of Education what the curriculum should be, for example. And it's a very similar relationship in terms of the Library Board of Trustees. And I trust that the Library Board of Trustees will make a wise decision on this. And thank you for sharing information on this tonight, Jennifer.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate you, taking what the community feedback and coming in, just continuing to educate the public. I just want to make sure that I understand, because that's the main goal here for when we may not be the governing body over the library, but we do often answer questions, and we want to make sure we're answering correctly. We understand that the state mandated that we review the policies that you listed, but it is not required that each individual library do what the state language suggested, correct?
So to make sure I'm understanding your
Policy
question.
language.
So the policies, we did work with the state library to develop the policies. The board reviewed them, and they did vote in agreement of those policies that I listed. So
Right,
those-
but we tweaked the language for our individual library is what I'm trying to get at.
I
We
see.
didn't have the state mandate the policy and then us implement the state mandated policy. It was to review the policy, come up with our own library policy for Plainville.
Yes, I see what you're.
You see what I'm
yes,
saying? So
yes.
I just want to make sure that when we articulate this information, because it's a runaway train, right? It's some communications are that the state is telling us that we have to do this. And yes, they did dictate that we have to review the policy, but they're not dictating the language of Plainville's policy as a whole. We took their suggestion, tweaked, you discuss with your staff, then you bring to your Board of Trustees, and the final decision is made.
Correct.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure for the public's clarity that that is how things were rolled out, that it was ultimately the decisions were made under the umbrella of Plainville Library.
Yes, the board has the ultimate say of the policies and approving policy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, just perhaps another way of saying the same thing is the state legislation required that the public libraries adopt these policies, but did not dictate the language or the content of the policies, yeah.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I would
Yes.
just like to, even though we do not have a say-so over this, to Deb's point, I would just like to also state that in the spirit of tradition, I'd personally love to see a Christmas tree in the library. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? No comments, nothing, everybody's,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would
Yes.
just like to thank Jennifer and her staff for, coming to give us this courtesy, right? As the Vice Chair said, the Library Board of Trustees is a duly elected body, does not need to be here. Jennifer does not, answer to the council, but to her board, and I appreciate the sharing of information. That's why I asked her to be here. I thought it'd be in this forum, be helpful for the community to understand the backstory of the statutes and laws and how they pertain to our funding and future funding, that these policies need to be adopted, and I appreciate her and the board for their due diligence, and I'm sure they'll have a robust discussion next week, and I may just pop in to see how that goes, just if they'll have me.
All right. Again, thank you. I think at this point, it's clear the library board is going to meet next week, and probably this will come up. And I would just say, if there's anything the council can do, if you have any questions or comments for the council, please reach out. We'll be happy to help you any way we can. But if there's no other comments or questions, thank you for your time. And those library board members, thank you for being here tonight as well. Again, same goes for you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 2, public hearing. There is none scheduled for this evening, so we can move right to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Christopher.
motion to approve the minutes of the November 17th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments, any questions, any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Announcements and reports. Are there any announcements and reports? I know we had the holiday last week, but is there any reports?
Hi, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. Yes,
ahead.
I did attend the Committee on Aging meeting on November 20th. Just a couple of highlights. The craft fair, once again, was a tremendous success. And once again, the dial-a-ride use continues to even increase further from September and October, which I think is something really we need to take note of, and how valuable that service is. They are continuing the preparations for the survey, looking at their programs in general. They haven't done that for a number of years, and they really want to assess what people's preferences and needs are. And as some of you may have seen, Stephanie Susi, the social worker, has been appointed as the assistant director. And they've doing some organizational change where the other position will be actually a program manager, and are in the process for hiring on that.
Okay. Anyone else with an announcement or a report this evening?
Mr. Chair?
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Queen.
No, okay.
It's okay.
All right, thanks. Just some chamber news. The Central Connecticut Chambers of Commerce, which Plainville is a part of, is having their Small Business and Emerging Leaders Awards dinner. And it is going to be on Wednesday, December 10th from 5 to 8. And I'm happy to say that from Plainville, Camp Pickleball is going to be recognized this year. So if anyone is interested in going, you can register at centralconnecticutchambers.org. That's it.
All right. Councilwoman Tompkins.
Yeah, yes, I just wanted to let people know, for people that don't check the calendar online, next week there's a zoning board of appeals meeting on Monday and a planning and zoning on Tuesday. So, if you're interested.
All right.
7:30.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I just have
Councilwoman Buchanan.
Thank you. A brief Parks and Rec update as well. There was a special meeting of the Parks and Recreation team on Thursday, November 18th. There were two unique memorials, one in the form of a bench and one in the form of a dedication, both at Norton Park, and I think they both deserve observing. The first one is for a bench over by the pool. I learned something new at this meeting, that there was one child in the history of, this was going back to 1945 at Norton Pond, where one child lost their life at the Norton Pond. Her name was Shirley Alice Kane. This was on July 25th of 1945, just days after her 10th birthday. There will be a bench dedicated to her at the pool. The second unique situation also has to do around aquatics, and many of you may know this person. We are dedicating the pavilion at the Elizabeth Berner Pool to Mary Sisson, a longtime member of the Plainville aquatics community, swim coach, very involved. Her maiden name was Manning, and her family has established a fund which will give out scholarships and different opportunities for swim teams and competition teams to be able to continue on her memory. So that will be now the Manning Sisson Scholar Fund, and the pavilion will be in her honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else with an announcement or a report? All right, hearing no one, we can move right to item 7, report of the town attorney. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I just had a couple of brief items. The first one had to do with the discussion that was had after the last council meeting. And I think inadvertently, the discussion ended up becoming much more public, and we had a number of the counselors there. And so I just want to make the point that when everybody's here and we're not in session, we should not be having a public meeting type of a situation where somebody's making statements, because under the Freedom of Information Act, when we are in a quorum and someone's making that kind of a statement, then we would need to be recording that, et cetera. And I know that it was inadvertent last time, and it's just one of these things that people start talking and people are paying attention, but I just want to bring it to everyone's attention to be aware of that when we're having discussions afterwards. If you're going to have a private discussion, you should make sure that it is one-on-one or not to have a quorum there. And the other thing is that I have had some interest with regard to the POCD committee. I've had some emails, and I just wanted to, bring up that we're going to be meeting. We're going to have an organizational meeting. I'm just waiting to find out what the date is, and there will be action going on. I have had some requests from the public regarding that, and I didn't want to not mention it at all. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So Morris, if there's only 3 town council members there, it's not a quorum, but if it's 4 or more, that's when it becomes a quorum, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Unless-
So that's just what we need to be cognizant.
Well, and it has
Unless
to be,
it's the same part,
it could be a caucus at
Yes.
that point, right?
yes.
But I just want to be careful all around without worrying about that, instead of counting heads, et cetera.
Yeah.
Let's just be aware of that we have a group, and if somebody's speaking, so they have the attention of a large number of people, that you have to be careful if we have a quorum there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a question on the POCD. It's my understanding that we are going to continue to operate under the changes that were made, even the clerical errors? Is that where we're at now until the subcommittee has finished?
Well, I think that I wouldn't characterize it as operating under. I think that the legal effect of the POCD has to be decided on a case-by-case basis. If it would have some application on anything now, to use the phrase operating under, I don't know that we are operating under. We have a POCD, there were amendments made, and we have some issues with regard to the final language that's on our website now. But as far as the POCD itself goes, there was a process, there were votes, et cetera. So that is what the POCD is. Now, we are going to pursue filing an application with Planning and Zoning in order to correct the last change that was made that occurred after a Planning and Zoning meeting where there was a vote, et cetera. And there could be, it could appear that that was the meeting that authorized that change. We don't believe that was appropriate, that it wasn't properly noticed, et cetera. I've kind of gone through this as far as what the grounds for that are. So that's why we'd be going back. As far as any other clerical errors, et cetera, as far as what's out there right now, that doesn't change what the POCD actually is and what the amendments that were made are. What we are going to do, from my understanding of where we're going to be and what the committee is going to do, is make sure that the one that's available to the public, that's on the site, is accurate, and that everything is consistent with actual, any time that it was amended or when it was since it was originally adopted in 2019. So I don't like, I think that when you look at planning and zoning, that if you look at actual applications, just in general, so I don't want to look at any specific or give any advice with regard to any specific application or any approval that was given, that if you look at it in general, you'll find that it's almost never referencing POCD in the applications. You got site plan applications, you got different applications. They're not dependent on the POCD. They're not dependent on it, on the POCD in order to pass things. Every once in a while, there may be a reference, occasionally, depending on what the development is, et cetera. And if there was actually a question as to what the provision really was, then that will be brought out at the hearing in front of planning and zoning. That's why we have a record. That's why you have appeals. So I just don't want to characterize it as operating under that. I think that
That's essentially what we're doing, though.
well, but it's not. What is it applying to?
It applies to everything that happened afterwards. After the council voted, plan and zoning voted, the changes that were made in the POCD do not reflect what we were told.
Right. What I meant was when you
So it never would have gone to planning and zoning because it never would have passed me.
right, what I wanted to say was, well, it would have still. We would have made a report. I mean, the town council would have made a report, and the report would have been that we don't endorse making this change, and then we would have hoped that they would have accepted that and not voted the way they did, because ultimately it would have been their decision. So the whole, without going and revisiting this now, because we're going to have to file a motion, we're going to have to go back there, and we're going to have a hearing to fix this, at least part of it, and that has to do with the map and the change in the notation. But I don't really, what I meant by operating under was, that is the POCD that we have. And I know that we have had it called into question as to whether or not what the final form of that is, if it's accurate, what's on the website, et cetera. There's been question with regard to page references, et cetera. I understand all of that. As to whether or not that affected any particular hearings, any particular applications, et cetera, zoning applications, any of that, I don't believe that it did. So when you say operating under, I understand what you're saying, and we do want to have the public understand what the actual terms of the POCD are. But it doesn't have, I mean, are we taking actions right now pursuant to the POCD that we're operating under? That's what I was saying.
So if company XYZ puts in an application tomorrow based on the current changes that are in the POCD, and then the subcommittee comes back in 2 months and says, this needs to change, that company's application goes out the window.
Well, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, you've made an argument, but in practical point of view, what application would that be?
I don't
What
know.
application would rely on a POCD?
Doesn't it make sense to do a cease and desist order on it so no changes can be made and nothing can move forward until it's corrected?
The cease and desist order is going to be issued by who?
You.
By me? I'm going to issue a cease and desist order to planning and zoning. Is that what you're requesting me to do? Okay. So that's something that I've now been asked to do, and I could certainly take a look at that and research that. I am not familiar with town attorneys issuing cease and desist orders to planning and zoning commissions, which are separate statutory bodies. But I can research that. This is something that's come up tonight on a question that is much more complicated than we should be having a public discussion on now. Because we are going to be going back in front of planning and zoning to change it.
I understand there's a lot more to this conversation, but this was brought up in May, and now we're in December 1st, and now we're slowly getting somewhere. This should have been handled a long time ago. And I don't think it's fair, or I don't think we should wait till March to make a recommendation. The recommendation is there was changes made that don't reflect what the town council was shown and approved. To me, they're invalid. Goes back to 2019.
Well, could I ask a question? Yeah, because there's some things that were just changed, we'll say intentionally changed, that should not have been changed. Why can't we just change that? Because I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, or that we can understand. But to me, there was language removed, language added, which shouldn't have happened. So why can't we just make that change? Because that seems more of a clerical type administrative task than, having to order or not order or meet with ask the planning and zoning to reconsider.
Administrative, that's fine. I'm not giving an opinion with regard to that.
Okay.
My opinion is based on that one instance of the map changing and the notation changing. And that occurred after a planning and zoning vote, and my opinion was that we need to go back.
Okay.
You had adopted a resolution that had 3 different points to it. One of them had to do with the administrative remedy. That is not what I am working on. The administrative remedy has to do more with basically comparing the POCDs and seeing that the changes were made, and if they were basically just transcribed right. That's it. I'm not really addressing that. What I'm addressing is the one vote that ended up changing the map and changing the notation that we need to go back on. I don't believe we can administratively do that. I think we need to go back and ask planning and zoning to bring it, to correct that. That is what my opinion is. The rest of it we can administratively do, and my understanding was that we appointed the subcommittee in order to take that process on of comparing them, and that the plan was that we would get input from the folks that have brought this to our attention. So that's kind of where we were. I can't give an opinion, and my legal opinion is that the current state of the POCD generally is not going to have any legal effect on the pending applications. Somebody's going to have to show me a specific one. Other than that, generally, I don't believe it'll have a legal effect.
Well, there was one, and then it was withdrawn.
It was withdrawn, and that had to do with the zone change, and that was withdrawn, and obviously, that would be something that could be relevant. However, the standard on a zone change, is very different than it would be for a planning and zoning application. A zone change is a legislative decision that's made by the Planning and Zoning Commission that's almost impossible to reverse on appeal. It has to do with policy, et cetera, and the POCD would be something that they would definitely look at with regard to that. If they voted on a zone change in a way that wasn't consistent with the POCD, and they still voted and gave the zone change, I don't think that the fact that the POCD covered it, that may not be, I don't want to give a legal opinion in generalities, but that may not be sufficient. Once the planning and zoning, if they make a decision, even if it's not consistent, that may hold up on appeal. So these things are much more complicated. And as I said, that one specific one, obviously, if they went in there in front of planning and zoning, then we would appear on behalf of the town, and we would tell planning and zoning that this is not accurate. This doesn't reflect what the POCD should be. If there was actually a hearing, we would go and do that right away. If there was actually a hearing, we've now adopted a process to try to correct all of this, which is what we're going to try to do. But it is a process, and that's why we're going to try to have a meeting of the committee and organize it and take input. To the extent that it can be done administratively quickly, I would have no objection with to that, and that would be really up to the administrative part of it. The legal part of it, I do think we need to go back to planning and zoning. We're going to have to file an application, and we're going to have to go back there.
I understand that.
Okay.
you have a comment?
Mr. Chair, I was just going to, I'm assuming, and I am a member of the subcommittee, that hopefully we'll meet as soon as next week, that we will be able to do those corrections as probably the first thing that we need to accomplish, and especially, we have one where a whole page of content no longer appears in the online version of the POCD, and that does not reflect not only us, but doesn't reflect what P&Z did, and I was at the meeting where P&Z actually voted on that. So I'm assuming we can move quickly with those corrections and get the online version to be exactly what it should be, so that if you do have somebody who's interested in applying for something, they're not going to go on the town website and see an erroneous version of the POCD.
Completely agree.
All right, and I do think the subcommittee is looking to try to meet next Monday or Tuesday to get this up and going. And it would seem pretty easy to me that first meeting, potentially the subcommittee could make some decisions saying, this needs to be changed. I mean, outside of what we actually voted on that particular evening, I think the stuff that's outside of that decision, which we clearly have found, pages either missing or pages maybe being renumbered and language being taken out and replaced with contradictory language, I guess is the best way to say it. I would think that's low-hanging fruit for the subcommittee to make those decisions and just administratively make those happen. So, that would be my expectation then for the first meeting if the subcommittee's up to taking on that task.
100%. Yep.
I am.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
All right. We will close the report of the town attorney and move to the report of the town manager. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, item number 1 is the contract that was on your agenda last meeting, but we held off so that we could have the superintendent with us here tonight. Mr. Reese is here, Brian is here, and you have the copy of your contract, which was ratified by the Board of Education October 20th. And pursuant to state law, the town council must now take up this item in the prescribed time frame of 30 days. The town council has 3 choices: 1, a motion to approve; 2, a motion to reject; or 3, to take no action. And the superintendent is here to kind of walk you through a summary of the contract, answer any questions you may have. So I will turn the floor over to Superintendent Reese.
And just hit the button. We're not sure your microphone's going to work. So first, it is on.
All
Look
right.
at that.
Is it working?
It is working.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, good evening. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about our contract. The negotiation sessions lasted several meetings, and including one extended night, mediation into the night, where we all got to know each other really, really well. The contract does a lot of things. When we looked at the contract, we talked about things like the grievance procedure to make that very understandable and the time frames that work. So we don't end up, and no offense to anybody in the room, but we don't end up in legal situations. So we can really work through things at the lowest level. And there's a number of those areas. It also cleaned up anytime we asked teachers to do something that's extra, it really set a rate much more clearly than it had before. And we believe that those will lead to, 1, better relations with our association, but also a financial opportunities for us to be financially conservative. So the agreement goes for 3 years, which is kind of the standard, and we're really happy about that. And we did manage to have the employees take another 0.5% increase in the copay of their insurance, which is helpful, especially as health insurance rises. It balances that out. You see the increases of 4.54, 4.55, and 4.11 in the 3 years, respectively. And those increases do 2 things. One is they're the overall increase, and the But what's embedded in them are steps. So there's almost 1.7% of steps are in there, which means as the contract increases, there's 1.7% that is just there because somebody moved from their second year to their third year, right? Because they increase over the years with longevity. So that's a good portion of that. Another area that's important that's embedded in those percentages is we really collaboratively solved a major problem we had in our contract where we had a very competitive contract until your 6th year. And when you went to from your 6th year to your 10th year, we became very not competitive. And then we caught up in our 11th year. So we, for the last number of years, have been focused or been struggling with losing teachers right as they get into that really the sweet spot of teaching in terms of they know what they're doing, they're really confident, they're comfortable with the curriculum, they're comfortable with the classroom and everything. And here, they were almost incentivized to go somewhere else for 5 years. So that does two things. One is it makes our budgeting inconsistent because in this day and age, in this economy, that means oftentimes we need to replace them with somebody in a higher step because there's a major teacher shortage. The second thing it does is it makes our, it also makes our contract so we're taking those that really achieve, those that are, really doing all the right things, and really incentivizing them to leave us, costing us the retention, the rebuilding of the workforce costs, and all those things. And also, the worst part about it is that our programs, just as they're really coming into being, really take a hit because that experience level is incredibly important. In doing that, keeping those teachers here, I actually believe this is actually more cost effective than the percentages tell the story. Because if teachers stay, because we show a consistent pattern of moving up the steps, we'll actually not be dealing as much with, we lost somebody at step 7, but we had to hire at step 11 because we just had no choice. And that's been a regular theme because of the teacher shortage. We also believe it will help support our teachers to be supported and feel supported in the district. The teachers were very articulate with us about the fact that there was about 5 years out where if we continued down the path we were going and we didn't do the hard work that the group did, we would see remember I said there was those catch-up years in steps 11 and 12? Well, we would see major budget increases then. So from a predictability standpoint, we are in a much better place with the way the contract is currently set up. So we're pretty excited about that. Other than that, we did set did a lot of language cleanup that led to some conversations around whether or not things were just exactly how to solve problems. And that we believe will also help build us focused on teaching and learning, which is what we're here to do, as opposed to trying to figure out exactly what the contract meant. There were a few of those, and we believe this is a really good contract. So.
All right, any comments or questions?
No, I'm good.
Everyone's good? And has the board voted on this? They've already voted?
Yes, the board has voted in favor of that.
And the union?
Yes, the union has also ratified all the members.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, anyone else, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would just like to make the comment that Mr. Reese and his team did a great job. It wasn't easy, and our leadership in the room was very good. So thank you.
I was going to say, you guys spent a lot of good time on it. I know that.
Excellent.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We'll be taking that up under new business.
Excellent.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Buster. Mr. Chairman, my next item, item number 2, is the high school pool room heater replacement. The Town and Board of Education are seeking to proceed with the replacement of the existing pool room heater at Plainville High School. The current unit, which is original to the facility, was not replaced during the 2008 renovation, is no longer manufactured or supported by the original installer. The system is obsolete, unreliable, and requires resetting every few days to remain operational. The replacement unit will ensure that air temperature in the pool remains warmer than the pool water, improving comfort and significantly reducing humidity levels. The project will be funded through the bond proceeds approved at the June 3rd, 2025 referendum, and there is an item under new business to award bid 2026-20S PHS pool room heater replacement to Swan Associates, Inc. of Newington, Connecticut, under Omnia Partners Contract Number R240901 in the amount of $120,435. And I just would add that there's another item I will discuss as well, also under Omnia Partners. Omnia Partners is a consortium out of Tennessee, much like, if you recall, Sourcewell is another consortium that we use out of Minnesota. So that's where we picked up the bid spec and packages, or bidders or qualified companies to do that. The second item is number 3. The next item is number 3, high school tech ed department HVAC unit replacement. They are seeking to proceed with the replacement of the HVAC unit serving the tech ed department at the high school as well. This unit was not upgraded or replaced during the 2008 renovations. It is now old, obsolete, unreliable. The replacement will require the use of a crane due to the location of the existing equipment and the size of the new unit. Work will be performed by McKinney Mechanical and Swan HVAC. This project was also funded through the bond proceeds approved at the June 3rd, 2025 referendum. And the Board of Education had budgeted $60,000 for this project. There is an item under new business to award bid 2026-21S PHS Tech Ed Department HVAC unit replacement to Swan Associates, Inc. of Newington, Connecticut, under Omnia Partners Contract number R240901 in the amount of $58,195.54. Item number 4 is the Community Investment Fund SIF grant application. The town of Plainville is looking to secure funding to engage an engineering firm to administer a townwide plan and assessment for an alternative water source to service public connections. This study will do 3 things. 1, test current water hardness to provide an update on previous numbers and serve as a baseline to measure future effectiveness. 2, determine if it is feasible to tie into the secure and alternate public water source. And 3, if so, which option is recommended and what would be the next actionable steps and costs to do so. So really, in essence, is just a feasibility study to change the source, if possible, to a maybe surface water, soft water versus aquifer and hard water. This would be the first step in addressing long-term complaints from citizens and business owners. Past studies have indicated that Plainville has some of the hardest water in the state. This results in premature failure of appliances and fixtures in the home and businesses, resulting in higher operating costs. The plan would ideally identify a suitable alternative water source and how to go about completing such an effort. Prior to engaging any engineering firm, brainstormed ideas include either extending with Regional Water Authority, RWA, an Aquarian water line from the Southington line to Plainville, buying out Aquarian as the present provider, or finding connection possible with one of the surrounding communities, New Britain, Bristol, and/or Farmington. And I had some other notes in there. We were attempting to try and do a second application for multiple capital improvement items, but unfortunately, given the deadline and the fact that we've already passed getting a share file open, and that the second application would all be capital items that would require either reconstruction, construction, rehab, or disturbing any of the building and/or ground would require SHPO, which is the State Historical Preservation Office, application and review, and just there's no time to get that done within the time frame of this application that needs to go in for the end of next week. So there is an item, just one item. It would be under new business to approve the resolution for the SIF application. And my last item before happenings, update on the consultants for the aquifer protection. We're seeking a qualified, experienced environmental and land use consulting firm to provide professional services in support of the town's Planning and Zoning Department, Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission, and Aquifer Protection Agency. The services will supplement the town staff in the technical review of land use applications, regulatory updates, environmental compliance, monitoring, and related advisory functions. We'll select a consultant with demonstrated experience in aquifer protection, environmental permitting, inland wetlands review, air quality monitoring, and Connecticut land use regulatory frameworks. The goal is to ensure that the regulated activities in Plainville comply with all applicable municipal, state, federal requirements while supporting transparent, reliable, and scientifically grounded decision-making. So that process is underway, and we have published or sent out the scope of services. We're in contact with some of those firms now, so it'll just be going through the conversation evaluation of their proposals now that they have our scope of work in terms of what we're looking to obtain in terms of services from these firms.
And would you be picking a 2, 3, 4 of these firms and going through like a formal interview process? Is that kind of how this, and
Yeah.
then you'll just pick?
Yeah, and we're not sure yet how many respondents we'll get to that. We've been working off a list from the South Central Regional Council of Governments, much like what we do in terms of consortium bids that have these firms on call. So we're going off that on-call list to go and have this conversation, have a interview process of the firms that respond.
Okay. Any idea time frame wise, how long potentially?
Well,
Before
it
we
shouldn't
pick
take
some-
that long, but I think Andy might have a better feel. I'll defer to him on that. He's been direct contact with the firms.
Yeah, so we've shared the scope of services that we'd like the consulting firms to complete. We've asked that they respond if they're interested in the project by December 15th. So once we receive those, we could review their responses internally. That'll be their approach to the project in addition to their fee proposal. From there, if we would like to conduct some informal or interview type of discussions, we can do that. So that would kind of be the timeline there.
Okay.
I don't think we anticipate this exceeding $25,000, so we wouldn't need council approval because it doesn't exceed that threshold. We'll keep you posted as students selected and stuff like that. But that allows us to like engage and consult and move forward on this a little bit sooner, even with the holiday schedule.
Okay. Because I think, with the subcommittee, I think that was a good resource. We thought if we can find a firm to work with the subcommittee, because there are some of those questions as well with land use boards and how we, especially the Aquifer Protection Agency, which I don't think we've been terribly active recently.
Last meeting was what, 2018?
Maybe they met in 2018, but there's going to be some things we're going to need some guidance to make things go faster, I believe. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
look forward to that. Any? Does that conclude your report?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the town manager?
Yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, yeah, on the last thing, I noticed that in the description under the aquifer protection item, it does say air quality monitoring. So are we including that as part of the scope and services then?
Yes, we are. We're hoping, we've written in such a way that we're trying to get it to have a firm that would have expertise in-house on both the aquifer and air quality. If not, we'll have to split and do aquifer and air quality, depending on qualifications and
So
experience.
it's really a consultant for aquifer protection and the air quality, which are, the two of the major
Major,
concerns,
right.
obviously, water and air. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I know, mentioned it, but.
Oh, very good
Yeah,
question.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of highlight that and confirm that it was going to indeed be part of the study.
Yes.
And consultant work. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else with any comments or questions regarding anything under the town manager's report? All right, then we're ready for happenings.
Sounds good. The town's transfer station on Granger Lane will close for the winter season on Saturday, December 6th. That's this Saturday. The transfer station will be accepting Christmas trees after December 25th and will do so through mid-January. As a reminder, trees must be placed in the clearly marked bin at the transfer station, and we ask that residents remove any trees from their bags and ensure that any lights and decorations are removed. Leaf collection is also ongoing, and that is scheduled to end this Saturday as well, December 6th. Weather permitting, we are expecting some mostly rain tomorrow, but
I think we
that'll
lucked
impact
out a little
leaf
bit,
collection.
Yeah.
So the roadways crew has already made 6 passes through town and will continue through the end of the week. We just, as a reminder, ask residents to rake their leaves to the curb, not onto the street, and do so as early as possible without blocking sidewalks or walkways. Grass clippings, sticks, and stones will not be collected, and bagged leaves will not be collected at curbside, but residents can bring them to the transfer station on Granger Lane. The Plainville Fire Company will be having their annual Christmas tree sale at the firehouse. That started last week and will be going through this Sunday, December 7th. Trees are $75 each, and wreaths are also available for purchase. If you would like more information, you can visit the fire company's Facebook page for their hours and additional information. The Plainville Fire Company was also hosting the annual Breakfast with Santa on Sunday, December 7th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the firehouse. You can visit the Plainville Fire Company's Facebook page for additional information. A tree lighting ceremony will be held here in Plainville at the firehouse on Tuesday, December 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be cocoa and cookies, pictures with Santa, and story time. This event is free, and pajamas are encouraged from all participants. Although I don't know if I'll be able to bring a change into work. We'll see. Next item is public library. For information on library programs, including registration, you can call the Plainville Public Library at 860-793-1446 or visit www.plainvillect.com/library. The Plainville Flute Choir will be performing on Thursday, December 4th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Plainville Flute Choir is a division of the award-winning Plainville Wind Ensemble, and they'll be performing in the library's fireplace room. Music will be performed for individuals of all ages, and refreshments will be provided by the Friends of the Library, and registration is recommended. From the Senior Center, and for all information on Senior Center programs, you can call the Senior Center at 860-747-5728. All programs are free and open to the public unless otherwise indicated. Their current events event takes place every Tuesday at 1 p.m. You can join for an engaging discussion on health, science, the environment, local news, and world events. The coloring group takes place every Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., an opportunity to take some time and enjoy coloring. Coloring books and colored pencils are provided. Caregivers Connection is on Tuesday, December 9th at 10 a.m. This is an opportunity to connect with fellow caregivers in a supportive space where you can share your experiences, challenges, and encouragement. The Grandparent Support Group is on Tuesday, December 16th at 10:30 a.m. Here you can share resources, ideas, struggles, and joy with other fellow grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. That's all I have for happenings. Just another note, at your desk, at your seat, there was the 2026 Fire Prevention Calendar. This is an annual calendar that the state puts together. It contains artwork from students around the state that have submitted into the contest. On the front is a Plainville student, Emma Blanco. She was recognized earlier this year as being Plainville's winner. She went on to the Hartford County area and was selected as a winner for the county. So her artwork's included here in the calendar. The calendar is available to the public as well. You can pick one up here at the Municipal Center, or you can contact the Plainville Fire Marshal's office. And that's all I have today.
All right, thank you. It looks like Plainville gets 2 visits from Santa this year. That's pretty exciting. Good job, whoever has the connection. So any comments or questions regarding the town manager's report or happenings? All right, hearing no one, we will now open up public comment. please step to the podium, give your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. The first ring means you have 30 seconds left. The second ring will mean that the 3 minutes has run out. Anyone wish to, I'm just looking, Mr. Kislick's back. You have anything to say tonight? Why not? We missed you at the last meeting. Oh, but no singing and dancing though tonight.
No, she's not campaigning for me. Last meeting was too cold for me to come out, but I made it tonight. John Kislick, 65 Forestville Avenue. I'm sure some of you on the council remember that prayer that Joanne and I have offered before. I thought about it tonight, but I said I can't ask God for that miracle. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, I guess congratulations is when for you, you asked for it, and I was saved by the voters. So I won't have to go through what you're going through. Good luck. I think we're going to have a rough 2 years for you. Anyway, I filed a couple of Freedom of Information requests, like always. I didn't file one this year for the Balloon Festival because I didn't want to waste the town's time putting the figures together. I know already that it costs the taxpayers more than $50,000 to subsidize that balloon festival with all the disruption in the town. The other ones I did was on the charter revision flyer question. I asked what that thing cost. It cost for the flyer and for postage $4,931.99. It did fool a few people that they voted yes thinking it was going to be no, but we did save a few seniors from making that mistake. And on that charter question, of course, everybody knows it was 1169 yes, 2253 no. 66% of the people who voted said no, 300 more than last time we voted on this. So that shows me how out of touch the town council and the Charter Revision Commission was with the inhabitants of Plainville. They should have known that this would have never flown, that the people wanted, it was not going to change. It was too much of a difference. And, I'm upset that the town did that. And my other Freedom of Information, because it's always a secret, and I've done this with Robert Lee, and I'm going to continue to do it, I guess. The manager's third amendment to his contract, it's like a big secret. You gave him a 3% raise of $5,436, brings his salary to $186,664 a year. He has two deferred retirement plans. So those were also affected by the 3% raise, come to more than $26,000 a year. But the thing I'm upset with is you left the $600 a month travel expenses in for the town manager. I don't understand why you did that. And the town manager has to have some type of agreement or residency by July 1st of this year. So I hope that works out. And one last thing. That trail, the only town council person that I heard say anything was Councilman Hurley about Hemingway Street, and I'm proud that you did that. This town council should get together and have the town manager send a letter to the state that that trail will not be built on Hemingway or Broad Street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wish to address the council? Yes, Joanne. Both you put your hands up at the same time.
Please go first.
You want to go?
No, go first.
Okay. I'll get mine.
Just take your time.
Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. I didn't expect to be back here so soon, but there's a couple of matters of dire urgency that need to be talked about tonight. And the first one is, of course, the trail. And I'm here to say that the people on Hemingway Street should stand their ground and not accept a widening of their road to strangers.
marked off to strangers. The trail should not go in front of their houses. But I can't fight their fight. They've got to fight. They've got to stand up and fight back. Okay, now the second one, because there's only 3 minutes and I got to hustle my bustle here. The second breaks my heart to think that they're going to, this concerns the property on 222 Farmington Avenue, the little church, Lutheran church that's going to be demolished in the name of what? Progress. Okay, so they need homes, use the parking lot, but please, my plea tonight is to save the church. I believe from my heart that it's real bad luck, bad karma to tear down or burn down or destroy in any way a church. And it just happens to be my church. And I'm sorry, there's just not enough Lutherans, I guess, in the area to maintain it. But it could be a community church, and there could be community funerals there, weddings, confirmations, and the community hall there could be used for functions. Now, I don't know what they're going to build in that area of that property, what type of housing, whether it's going to be senior or what, although we do need senior housing. But the parking for the church could be around the church. I'd say save the church. You know, Christianity, there's another subject. Christians are being pursued and persecuted and slaughtered all over this world. And it's a positive shame that there isn't more emphasis on churches. There, I think, there could. Here's another reason
if you could wrap up, Joanne. I know.
What?
If you could just wrap up with.
I
your 3
will.
minutes.
Yes, I thought I heard the bell. I can't hear too well. It could probably house another chapter of the Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point. I think that would be a good place to have that. And I guess that's it. Oh, the third thing is, what in the world's going on over at the library? My Lord, they don't want a Christmas tree there? Does that come from the legislative body? Are they nuts up there? I'm going to look into that one a little more closely. But please.
Well, I think the library board meets
builders.
next Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock? Say that again?
Next Tuesday, the 9th, the library board meets at 6 o'clock
Yeah.
to discuss.
That's not open to the public, is it?
It is. No, it's a public meeting.
It is?
It is, yes.
Okay. I might be there. Okay, wrapped up.
All right. Thank you, Joanne. Georgia, you're next.
Georgia Bedell, 28 Pequot Road. Tonight I'm speaking directly to the town manager and a town attorney. For 7 months now, residents have been redirected and given the runaround every time we ask about the illegal POCD changes. But your latest statements don't just conflict, they create a public lie. After October 5th meeting, both of you stated to the press, on TV, to the public, and to Nutmeg TV that the POCD amendments were not done properly. NBC 30 quoted the town attorney, proper protocols were not followed, there wasn't enough notice or information of the public or council, and I did not see that the issue was properly presented to, excuse me, to planning and zoning. You are also quoted, the maps were changed, slipped in without any public notice. These statements were repeated back here on camera. Yet when I asked in writing last week to the town manager which POCD the town was using, the manager replied, after seeking guidance from the town attorney that you told me, the town currently views the 2024-2025 plan as the valid document. The process was legal and all procedures were properly followed. The votes made by the TC and the PZC were adopted in whole, including the changes to the illustrations, and that's in writing. These written statements directly contradict what you said in public. Both cannot be true. One is a lie. Then, instead of correcting the record, the town attorney emailed back today saying the subcommittee was, quote, resolving many of these questions, that we can attend their meetings, and he has no further comment. Let me be clear. You want us to bring our concerns to the subcommittee, which thank you for volunteering, that has no legal authority. Yet when we brought it to you, you are one of the only people in town that do have a legal authority. For months, you've done nothing with that. State statute is clear. The town attorney can order planning and zoning to correct the illegal changes immediately. You have known about this since May. So why hasn't it been corrected? Why did the town manager put in writing that everything was legal when the town attorney said the opposite on camera? And why are residents now being sent to a subcommittee instead of seeing you exercise your authority that the law has given you? You don't look at us. You sit there while people are up here. You bat your eyes. It's rude. We are parents, homeowners, taxpayers, and voters. We are not confused. We are not misinformed. And we're not going away. So we're going to come to every single meeting and keep doing this until you do your job. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? Yes, Ms. Irving. You press the button. There you go.
Okay. Wendy Irving, 9 Weatherstone Ridge Road. I have 2 items that I'd like to raise tonight that I was not allowed to speak last week to. One is the subcommittee for the POCD. I'm suggesting that 1 or 2 residents of the town of Plainville be part of the subcommittee, in addition to the 3 council members that are part of the subcommittee. There was no discussion about that here today. So that's one item. And then we would like to make sure we have regular status reports on what the subcommittee is doing. And the second suggestion I have, which was also raised last week after the meeting, was that we add another section on the agenda for public comments. All right? This section should be at the end so the people of Plainville can have an opportunity to voice opinions on all topics that have been raised and discussed during this town council meeting. Because with the public comments being halfway through the agenda, you only get to speak to half of what has been raised. And there's other items that are being raised and things that need to be raised to the town council and put on public record so that we can carry them forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And just for clarification, you're talking about new business items when you say the public comments falls before that, and you want an opportunity.
I want an opportunity that anything and everything that is spoken to in this meeting has an opportunity to be raised and discussed by the people of Plainville. Because you want input. I keep hearing, join the committee, come to the meetings. If I come to the meetings, I'm not allowed to speak. And this is true of all your committees, by the way. All right, so there's issues all across the board. But if you want me to come, I need an opportunity to say or to add my opinion or my suggestions to that committee on any topics that are raised. So it's not just new business. Half the time I can't tell what these items are on the agenda anyhow, and they're open sections, and you never know what's going to come up. The subcommittee for the POC was an example last week that came up that I didn't know anything about. So I wouldn't have been prepared to talk about that. So as things come up during this meeting and people raise things, the townspeople of Plainville should have an opportunity to be able to speak to that and follow up on that. And another concern, of course, is we publicize, we record this meeting, we don't show it for a few days, all right? But in the meantime, everything that's done here has been now automatically approved, we're done, okay? And the rest of the town who aren't having the opportunity to be here can watch it 3 days later, but they don't have an opportunity to speak at all, which is another issue for another day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else wish to address the council this evening? Yes.
Harlan Bedell, 28 Pequot Road. I'm addressing the dust. And don't start my time yet.
Too late, sorry. We'll give you a couple extra seconds.
Last week at work, we had a meeting, and it was for new guys, and the issue was complacency kills. I think everybody in this town has become complacent with Tilcon and the dust, and it's just a normal thing. And I think now we can actually get a visual on how bad it is. And it's not dust you get from shaking out your rug. This dust has 45 to 55% silica in it. This is from a blast. There is no water suppression, no dust control on site at all when this happens. Now everybody's going to be quick to go to DEEP or to Public Health. Under the town ordinance on page 80, we follow state guidelines. Page 80 is about dust control. Tilcon has not followed any of these. Can you keep scrolling, please? Yeah. That is a rock crusher. There's no water going to it. You can zoom in, there's no water lines at all. None. Ben mentioned, next. Another ordinance in town is dust not going beyond your property line. That's hundreds of feet above the tree line into our neighborhood. This is also another Plainville ordinance. Right there, that's driving past Tilcon on Black Rock Avenue. Now, quick audience participation. Would any of you guys drive down that road with your windows open? No. Okay. Why not? Correct. That is from a drone shot from top of Pinnacle Mountain, over 3,000 feet away from Tilcon's site.
Did I hit them all for you?
I think so. I had another one, but... So, yes, that one. Can anybody guess what that is off the property when all this is going on? Not even on the property. Yep. So, Mr. Town Manager, and before you answer, Andy, can you please advise to your boss what answer do we not want to hear? Come on, help me out here.
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one.
The answer we don't want to hear is, we'll look into it. So now that you see clearly all the violations of our town ordinances, which we follow by the state, will you reach out to the zoning officer and have these enforced?
Yeah.
Well, no. I don't want to hear. We'll look into it.
Your presentation, okay?
This is clear as day. This is evidence.
Harlan, please, okay? it has to have scientific background, backed up with scientific data.
No,
I
no,
understand-
no, it doesn't.
I understand this is a concern. I've told you it's a concern. I agree with you it's a concern.
Okay.
That's the reason why we're going after bringing in a consultant to do it.
Okay.
Okay? We just can't walk out there with the zoning enforcement.
Yes, you can.
Not without evidence that there's a violation.
Right there. There is dust beyond their property line. Page 80. This is your own town ordinances. Your own.
Then
I'll send them to you.
I will take it.
Okay.
I'll take it up with the appropriate.
Page 80 is all dust control plans. They violate every single one. That's page 80, section 1-2 or 2. There's another one that says the dust, fumes, etc., cannot go beyond their property line. They're hundreds of feet past their property line. So will you have our zoning officer enforce this? If I can't have a fire in my backyard, it's enforced.
Yeah, if it's in violation, we'll review if it's in violation using that data which we now have. I will sit down and talk with them.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes.
Colette Casey, 32 Rosalie Avenue. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good, thank you. The reason I'm here today is because I'm very concerned about the library. I want the Christmas tree there. My kids, they're 32 and older now, but I brought them there every year to see that Christmas tree. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to other people. The senior citizens, a lot of them don't have Christmas trees, especially the ones that live next to the senior center. They're in the housing. They don't have Christmas trees. They do go to the senior center to see the Christmas trees, but they also go to the library. And it's not just Christmas, it's Hanukkah. It's everybody's holiday. It's not just one holiday. We should embrace everybody's holiday. It's 1 month out of the whole year that we're celebrating this. We can have snowflakes for the rest of the 2 months for winter. But for this, I feel that it's a sad time. And Joanne, you're a hard act to follow, but what the heck is going on in our library? I mean, are we going to cancel Black History Month? Are we going to cancel Halloween? You know, you start canceling something and it goes. Why don't we just build on? If there's a tradition that the library doesn't have, add it. Just so everyone could be happy. A library is about learning. It's not shutting things down and not appreciating it. You may not agree with it. We don't all agree with the same things, but that doesn't mean that we cancel it. We should embrace it. And basically that's what I needed to say. And I hope that we can reconsider about having our Christmas tree back and Hanukkah and any other holidays that we're missing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anyone else wish to address the council? You both put your hands up at the same time. Go ahead, Sue.
Hi, Susan Chase, Pequot Road, Plainville.
You can bend that down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
I just am wondering why there are 3 happenings on December 9th. There's the Planning and Zoning meeting, there is the Christmas program, and the library program. Normally, the Christmas program is the first Thursday of December, and I don't know why it's changed, and I am happy to see that they're still having Santa Claus.
Yeah, I don't think there was any, it wasn't on purpose that all those 3 things, it just happened the way, I can talk about Santa coming on the 9th. It's just, that's the date that worked for Santa.
Okay, all right. Because I would have liked to have gone to all 3, honestly.
No, I understand, and,
Okay.
maybe if we time it right, maybe we can, but I'd have to go through all that. But it is going to be a busy night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Santa for a Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
I will.
It is the season of miracles.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And, yes, sir.
Dan Bucci, 62 Metacomet Road, Plainville. I really didn't have anything to say tonight, but what caught me kind of off guard maybe was Ben's question to our town attorney tonight, which his kind of roundabout answer that led to no answer pretty much said that the POCD kind of doesn't matter. You know, it's really no big deal because none of the applications really go by it. So I'm going back to the town manager's last report last week where he gave a great presentation on the social media stuff going on in town and all the good stuff that comes from it. I'm just afraid that all this POCD stuff now no longer makes Plainville the great place between New York and Boston, which is illustrated by those social media posts. But now, like, Plainville's the criminal underworld of Connecticut. So I'll go back to the social media things. 32 weeks ago, the town of Plainville had a social media post from Jacob where he says, planning and zoning acts to evaluate against, every application is evaluated against the POCD. So here we are. Who's correct? Planning and zoning or the town attorney who says it really doesn't matter? And Ben, you asked him a question, again, roundabout answer. So my question to you guys is, because I don't know, does the town council have legal authority over the town attorney?
Legal authority, I don't know how to.
Like, can you direct him to answer a question?
I don't think we can make him answer a question. We could request.
No, well, the answer is yes, you can make him answer a question. So you can make him answer the question of what is the legal POCD being used by Plainville? Which, again, Ben asked him, are we operating under it? He gave, a definition of operating rather than are we using the correct POCD?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I just be,
Yeah.
the POCD is a suggestion, they're not mandates. So I think that's what the attorney was referring to, that it cannot mandate the planning and zoning to act in a certain way or make specific decisions based solely on the POCD. They're just suggestions. So
Then why do we have it? So then it doesn't matter.
it's a guide. It's a guide, but it's not a mandate.
It's kind of like Jack Sparrow. It's like they're not rules. They're kind of like guidelines.
Guidelines.
Gotcha.
Well, the POCD is supposed to be a framework for how we want to see our town get developed. And, Councilwoman Tompkins is correct. It doesn't hold, it's not a mandate. It's a document that is updated every 10 years, sometimes, as we found out, more often than that, and sometimes not in the correct way. And I'll give you some more time to talk, but it is used by the town and it is used by our land use boards. I think it's just not a defining, or it cannot force us to do certain things. It doesn't carry that, such as a state statute or a local ordinance. Those have things that direct us purposefully.
Like the state statute that says you have to have a public hearing for a POCD change and a public vote.
I think, in some of the comments the town attorney made, he referenced that, that did not happen back in the spring. And that needs to be addressed, and it will be.
Sure, okay.
But, because I'm a bit frustrated tonight, because there has been a lot of conflict and we're talking about, what was said 6 months ago, and we find that someone said the opposite thing, or it appears that the opposite thing has happened. So, I don't know if you have any more comments, but, from my perspective, I'm glad Ben brought up the question, because I think there is some, like I said before, some low-hanging fruit that just needs to be corrected, and it needs to be corrected quickly. And that's what I'm hoping happens as we get into next week with that first subcommittee meeting of the POCD.
Great.
So, I don't think I answered your question.
But I would just, I guess, in the sake of time, I guess, don't let the great manager's minutes go to waste by the news stories that come out that totally contradict that.
And I would agree with you.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? Yes, sir.
Roger Plord, 81 Metacomet. I just kind of a question more than a comment. Who does the town manager report to?
The council.
And who does the town attorney report to?
The council. Well, I would say he represents the town.
And how does he get his job? Is he like?
Well, he's appointed by the council. The council appoints after whatever the latest local election. He's appointed.
And is the town attorney appointed? I mean, amongst other candidates, or
Oh, yeah.
is it a bidding I mean, how?
No, typically it's a majority party. You need 4 votes to appoint a town attorney. So typically the majority party will go out and solicit and find someone to fill that role.
And is he a trial attorney? Is he a land use attorney?
Well, he's a little bit of everything. I don't want to speak for him, but he's very well rounded in all aspects, I believe.
Good lawyer. He talks in circles enough.
Well, it's
all right. No, I just.
But no,
who reports to who?
His job is to represent the town and protect the town's interests.
Yeah, it's more protect the town, not its citizens.
Well, no, it includes the citizens. I mean, I would disagree when you say not really.
In the last year, you haven't improved much.
Okay, that's a point well taken.
And we talked to the town manager, and the same thing. It's like you get the runaround. You don't get specific. This is what we're doing. We're working on it.
Well, and that's a frustrating thing to hear you say.
Yes, especially as a taxpayer, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, that's all.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else wish to address the council? Yes, Roberta Loria.
Roberta Loria, 18 Perrin Road. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions regarding the November 20th meeting that was held at the high school. This was...
The state meeting
Yes.
regarding the trail?
Was it done through you? Was it done as was it sponsored through the DOT? Was it, how was this done?
It was a DOT meeting.
Okay, so it's different than the presentation that they did originally last year when it was done here?
Different format. I don't know. I imagine there was a little more specific information than the November 20th
So
meeting.
did they pay the town for our electricity and for renting that?
No, they didn't. I don't believe they paid the town.
Okay, so then technically I guess we just had a meeting regarding charges. I think we need to kind of question that. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I asked about this a year ago when they were here for the presentation. And the challenge is, once again, they did a 40-minute presentation. However, they did not allow questions and answers for all to hear. This, once again, is a he said, she said. And you guys are allowing them to do it. This should have been stopped. I brought this up last year during the presentation when they once again played this game, where they did their presentation and they had their little secret meetings out in the hallway for a good 45 minutes, answering people's questions. This cannot continue. This has to stop. Now, did you ever get the questions and answers to what happened last year? Because I don't remember anything going public.
Well, not anything that happened out in the hallway, no. I did not
Well,
get the
that's a
answers.
problem. This project, when this whole trail project was started in May of 2016, when you got the first presentation, when CROG didn't do their real due diligence and look at the people, they just decided in an afternoon meeting they were going to say, okay, we're going to do this. You didn't question them. You're allowing them to string you along. Here's my concern. This project started at $16 million. It's now pretty much close to the Board of Education budget that was presented to you last year, $47 million. How can anyone approve something? And people talked about phases, this going down Hemingway. Believe it or not, guys, Hemingway was started in May of 2016. That's when it was first proposed. This has been going on since May of 2016. You guys have been letting them string you along. At $16 million going up to 48, how can you say this is worth it for the town? You can say, oh, it's okay. It's federal taxes. It's going to be state bonded. It's still our money, and the reality is we're going to be responsible for it when it's over. I don't know how you can say this is not going to be a budget on part of a line item budget. You guys seriously need to look into having an executive session this evening and having a cease and desist with all three phases until you can sit down with the DOT, with public, knowing what is going on in this executive session, because basically what they're doing is they're just stringing you along with this Hemingway. That's all they're doing until they're going to put you in a corner and you're not going to be able to do anything. And you're going to say, oh, I tried. No, you want to try? Do it in an executive session tonight. Stop the whole thing. That's the only way you're going to save Hemingway Street or anything else in Plainville. It cannot continue. And you need to bring our attorney in, our town employees in. And if the town attorney says, no, we can't do anything, contact me. I'll give you somebody. This is not something that's going to benefit the town or the taxpayer. This has to stop. Do it now, because I'm telling you, this is going to cause a real big problem. You're not protecting Hemingway and what's going on. You're stringing them along. You're drinking their Kool-Aid. And another thing, give them back.
Can you just wrap up?
I'm going to wrap it up. I'd be happy to. Give them back their $200,000, because that's another way they're stringing you along. This needs to stop tonight, because what they're telling you, no, they already have it planned unless you stop it immediately.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? Yes.
Good evening. Marilyn Charette, 18 Milford Street, Plainville. It's been quite a meeting. I'm glad to see so many people here. Hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving. Everybody has a wish list, especially during the holidays. And I wish for this new town council, I hope that you've taken the time to evaluate where you really stand in representing the people. We are the top of the list. You're supposed to be there representing us. The town manager, the assistant manager, the town attorney. Please listen very carefully, because I'm going to be watching and I'm going to be listening very carefully to what you're doing and what you're saying. I agree with a lot of things people said. One of the things that was brought up earlier, and I thank the person for it, about bringing up new business or old business, such as the trail issue, so that we can stand up and continue to speak about it. Because you bring up issues that are after our opportunity to speak on public comments. So I agree with that, and I think you should change your format on it. Number two, I agree wholeheartedly with everything Roberta said. You have got to put an immediate stop to this trail. If they can't go down Route 10, then go away. We don't want anything until we have rails available. And have them torn up, and then you can have a trail, and not until. Stop wasting our tax dollars. This is my wish list, for 2026, 2027. And you've got some hard things that you have to address, but none of you, except for you, Dan, I have to give you credit, none of you have stood up and said, no, we don't want this trail, stop immediately. What Roberta referred to in numbers, I have brought it up in the past. I didn't know, Roberta, I didn't know the exact number, but I knew they went way over budget. And you have to represent us. We don't want it. You're not listening to the people. So please re-examine the vows that you took, that you are going to represent what we want, not what you want, okay? Thank you very much, and I wish you all a happy holiday and a happy new year.
Same to you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? Like a minute quick? Do we get another presentation? No? But yeah, go ahead, real quick.
I'm going to read something from the Office of the OPM in Hartford. Quote, yes, changing a town's zoning on open space without proper due process, such as a required public hearing and specific voting thresholds, is illegal in Connecticut. Zoning changes must follow state mandated procedures that ensure public input and proper review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Quick question. The town employees are the clients of the town attorney, correct?
I don't know if yeah, no, that's a tough one. I don't like saying yes or no to that question.
He represents town employees in the town, so that
he does,
you
yes.
guys, his clients, correct?
Yeah, and
Yes.
I mean, client, it's kind of tripping me up a little bit,
Yes,
but
that's another question I asked. Yes.
yeah.
This next question is to the town attorney.
You can,
I mean,
listen, you can direct a question. He's not required to answer.
Okay.
We will certainly get you an answer. You
as
can
an
ask it.
attorney, an officer of the court who has an ethical duty, how is he condoning and participating his client to do something illegal in town?
Okay. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay.
No answer?
Thank you.
No.
It will get answered. I just don't think, and I'm not going to speak for the town attorney, but we can get you an answer. I just don't think this is the format for that kind of answer.
30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that
Just
Connecticut.
name and address real quick.
Georgia Bedell, 28 Pequot Road. This is directly from the state website. Connecticut General Statute 8-2A, zoning must follow the POCD. Zoning regulations shall be made in accordance with the comprehensive plan and in consideration of the plan of the conservation and development. This means they must use the POCD when making zoning decisions, and they must consider it when approving or denying applications, and they cannot contradict it without legally defensible reasons.
All right. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone who hasn't had a chance to speak who wants to speak tonight? All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I just wanted to.
Let me I'm going to close public comments.
Yeah. Or I just wanted to address under public comment, if I could.
I just had one thing to say.
Well, can you ask me after the meeting in private?
Well, I'll do it the next time I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah, I just wanted an opportunity to correct one of the statements made by, under public comment. I don't believe my comments were inconsistent. I believe they've been consistent right on through, explaining to this council, as I've had a few times, that the process we followed, I believe there isn't any deficiency that I've been shown that this council or the P&Z did anything that was deficient, okay? I recognize that there were issues and problems with how it was handled and how it was done, and there was an administrative change done internally to that process that the council was not aware of. It was not called out. I think specifically, as that's the word I've been using and the phrase I've been using, that it was not called out specifically, okay? and that this body is not the body that approves. It originates with P&Z. It is an amendment to the process. 2019 process amended with these two applications that came forward. In that, got tangled up with the Tilcon issue. Okay, but in that process, there's nothing I've seen at this point that shows me there was anything in terms of a public hearing that was followed, votes that were taken, everything to me looks and appears to be legal. That's what the subcommittee, and we can take the charge to look at that, okay? And if there is, and point that out and make these administrative decisions, but ultimately, what I think we're talking about, and the attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but is a third amendment if this council's desire is to send it to P&Z to reverse and go back to 2019. But you can only have one plan at a time. That's why my statement was, I believe nothing was deficient, that this council sent their decision to the P&Z, P&Z acted, and those amendments were, whether we called them out or paid attention to them, and if it had been, you might have had a totally different reaction to it, but that's not what happened. So we go back and we have to then amend, I believe, in this process that the town attorney is talking about. But I see nothing illegal about that in any way, shape, or form. So, and I could be wrong, and maybe there's something that in the record may have been wrong or deficient. But that's what the process is going to do, and it is a process. That's all I want to say.
All right. And I think for us, there is a level of frustration, and I think, we ratcheted up a little bit, the frustration tonight, because there is, we basically have conflicting views, and I hope the subcommittee, that's part of the task that we outlined for them in our resolution, is to try to drill down on some of these questions that were raised about, is it X or is it Y? I mean, it's, there doesn't seem to be a lot of gray area in terms of, the statutes and directing us to do certain things. So, it's just, I'm frustrated. I feel like we're going backwards in some respects, and that's, I'm hoping next Monday or Tuesday when the subcommittee meets that they could start kind of checking off some of these questions that have been raised and some of the frustrations that have been expressed, and we can start, tackling them and getting some of these things settled once and for all. So, I don't know. It's just it's been it's just a frustrating topic to begin with, and there are a lot of layers. It wasn't just the PDD that we voted on. Now we have several other issues that were raised. So, it's I don't know. I feel frustrated. And I'm looking forward to getting it resolved as soon as possible with the subcommittee. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? I mean, a lot was said tonight, a lot items brought up. Just fix it. Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to handle it right now.
Yeah.
All right.
We've never blamed you.
And, well, and blame, and I don't know about, I mean, I know Rebecca's going to kill me, but, I do feel responsible in some ways. I mean, it's I wish this would have been done already, but, here, I think we're trying to do the best. I really, truly don't think anyone's trying to underhand anyone. I just think it's a situation where we haven't dealt with something like this before, and I have a feeling as we look into this, it may not be the only issues, maybe a couple other things we find. So, the good thing is we're going to get it fixed and fixed correctly the first time and not have to address some of these things and maybe put some processes into place going forward on how we can just, certainly when changes are made, there needs to be a process of who gets notified that changes are being made, and that's some of the things the subcommittee is going to handle. So I do appreciate, and I'm sure the council appreciates everyone being here again tonight and sharing your frustrations. And we're going to continue to work forward and work with the administration and the town attorney to make these things, get these things correct and make sure that we're being consistent with the way we're applying these policies. So, unless anyone else has anything, we can actually move on to new business. Item number 1.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to accept the agreement between the Board of Education of the Town of Plainville, Connecticut and Education Association of Plainville, Connecticut, July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Tompkins.
motion to award bid 2026-20S High School Pool Room Heater Replacement to Swan Associates, Inc., Newington, Connecticut, under Omnia Partners Contract R240901 in the amount of $120,435.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I just have one comment.
Yes.
As someone who spent a good part of my life sitting in that pool, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank the citizens for supporting the referendum. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3,
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Tompkins.
motion to award bid 2026-21S High School Tech Ed Department HVAC Unit Replacement to Swan Associates, Newington, Connecticut, under Omnia Partners Contract R240901 in the amount of $58,195.54.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4,
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Moranti.
motion to adopt a resolution regarding a Community Investment Fund 2030 grant application submission for a public water source feasibility study.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 5,
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Hurley.
motion to approve the tax refunds as listed on the addendum.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the tax refunds? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other discussions of interest?
Mr. Chairman, I have one, but I know it's late, and I want to get to that item, but before I do, I just want to address, I can't, maybe I should let it go, I just can't let it go. But I don't believe that we should be talking about blame. I don't believe you as chairman should have to take and say that you're sorry for what happened. You had no knowledge of what happened, nor did the members with you on this council or members present here in this group. Okay? Things happened. Okay? I don't believe there was any malicious intent to do anything. But the individual responsible for that administrative change has gone. And the planner has come in, has gone. And that leads me to the next item about the planner. But I don't think we should be talking about blame. We should be talking about, like you said, how do we move forward and correct this and understand the roles we play, the role that the P&Z plays in the entire process. Where the POCD, it's what its guiding principles and how far it goes, and zoning and how those overlap. I think that's where the real discussion needs to take place, and I think we'll get there. I just think there's a lot of side conversations about other issues and topics that are pulled into the POCD, and I think we'll have an opportunity to separate that. In that vein, I will say that, yes, our planner has left. We're in the process aggressively looking for a planner and going through that process to get somebody on board. In the meantime, I have John Bossy serving as the interim planner, as he's done in the past. He's been here for decades with the town and has served in that role before, so that we can move applications and address applications that we're taking in the vacancy period. And we will endeavor to fill that position with a qualified candidate as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I just had a couple. One, Hemingway Street, it did come up this evening. You know, the state has come in. They did their walkthrough of the neighborhood. They did their formal meeting a couple weeks ago. You know, at some point, and I would say probably our next regular meeting, the council's going to have to we need to say something or we need to make some decisions. I know we've given informal feedback to the state, but I think we're at that point where, the council needs to discuss that option and whether or not we think it's feasible. So I would plan on our December 15th meeting, having that on the agenda to address. And just the other thing I would ask the council to do is, we've had a couple requests for adding a second public comment section in the meeting. I'm not gonna, I think, take it home with you, think about it, be prepared December 15th. Let's talk about that. See if that's something we want to entertain. There was a time we actually did have 2 public comments. However, what we found is everybody would just talk about the same thing they did at the first one, and it became redundant. And this was a number of years ago. I don't off the top of my head remember, but it's something that was asked by a couple people now. So if you can think about that over the next couple weeks, and we can talk about it at the next meeting. Anything else? Any other discussions of interest? All right. We have no executive session scheduled for tonight. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned until December 15th.